Hello there ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Build Guide. Today we're checking out a Scepter Dagger Elementalist build. This build relies on having quite a high boon uptime. It's absolutely brilliant. Scepter Dagger builds were very popular back in the betas, but they were very different to what this one is. Back then they were all about burst damage, pushing the damage out really fast, whereas this is more about tanking, high boon uptime, keeping yourself alive, keeping your teammates alive a little bit as well. It gives you a little bit of support in there. So we're going to go through different weapon achievements first. So in the fire achievement, it's all about stacking up might. So you've got to bear in mind we've got this really high boon uptime, so these might stacks are going to last a really long time. Ring of Fire is the first one you're going to be laying down. This gives you the combo field to start off with, and then you've got Phoenix and Dragon's Tooth as your blast finishes to trigger inside of it, giving yourself 6 stacks of might, 3 stacks for each one you trigger. Really useful basic setup there, and that's going to last you for quite a long time. Fire Grab as well is an important skill to take note of. It deals more damage to a target when they're burning, and that can dish out some pretty good damage still, even though this build isn't that high on the power front. In the Water achievement, Cleansing Wave and Water Trident are your 2 key skills, with Frost Aura also there as well being useful. Lightning achievement, Lightning Strike and Blinding Flash you just want to trigger as soon as you get the chance, just because they're instant cast. It's not going to cause you any problems just to spam those 2 off. Ride the Lightning and Updraft are also brilliant skills. They're both instant casting, but of course Ride the Lightning basically is your gap closure to get yourself onto the target. Follow that with Updraft to interrupt whatever they're doing and then enter your normal combat rotation. In the Earth achievement, Rock Barrier you've got to have up all the time. It's absolutely brilliant skill. It envelops yourself in some rocks, giving yourself some more toughness. There's no reason not to have this up at any time because it's just so useful. It's on a 30-second duration and with only a 15-second cooldown, so there's no reason not to have that up if you can. And then we've got Earthquake there on the number 4. A very long cooldown on it, but a fantastically powerful skill. Bear in mind it's another blast finisher there as well, so you can use it in tandem with your fire combination to get yourself even more might if the moment arises. And also Churning Earth there as well, so that's a 30-second cooldown there. It's a powerful skill, but it does take quite a bit of effort to actually get it out. It's a very long channel time, 3¼ seconds. You're stuck in place while you're doing this. You're quite vulnerable to any incoming attack, so do bear that in mind. What you can do, however, though, is use one of our achievements here, Lightning Flash, to move by your base. So if you're channeling it and the players move out of the area, you can use Lightning Flash to instantly move on top of them before it casts to deal the full damage and get all those crippled and bleeding stacks out. So a fairly useful skill there, but only if you are bringing that cantrip with you. For our healing, we've gone with the Glyph of Eternal Harmony. This gives you a boon based on whatever achievement you're in when you cast it. Obviously, they're all brilliant. Protection uptime is great though, so try to cast your heal while in Earth achievement if you're being tanking, if you're being focused heavily, sorry. Also, if you're trying to fight someone, it's not really worth actually getting that single might stack out, so I wouldn't worry too much about it, just casting it off the fly. You really want to be just using it when you get the proper opportunity. So we spoke about Lightning Flash a moment ago. It's also a stun breaker. It's a fairly short cooldown. It's a fairly useful skill, to be honest, for moving around the map. Armour of Earth is hugely powerful. Because of our boon uptime, we're going to get 9 seconds on the protection and stability, which is massive. 9 seconds stability you can do a lot with, so do bear that in mind. Very useful defensive skill there. And then Mistform as well is our invulnerability against any incoming damage. It's also a stun breaker. Lasts 3 seconds, 60-second cooldown. A fantastic skill, and that's almost a must-have in most Elementalist builds. And lastly, for our elite skill, we've got the Glyph of the Elementals. So for our rune choices, we've gone with the Superior Runes of Water, giving us healing and boon duration, as well as Superior Runes of the Monk, giving us healing and boon duration. So in total this is 150 healing and 20% boon uptime. Next up we've gone with the Sigil of Superior Battle and the Sigil of Superior Energy. Fairly standard choices, I wouldn't bother swapping anything there at all. And then the Cleric's Amulet. So this is the part of the build that you can really move about with a little bit. It sounds weird, but you can. So the Cleric's Amulet is basically going to give us a very healing and toughness based build. It's going to be very survivable. If you wanted to swap out, however, you could go for like a Knight's Amulet or something like that to give yourself a little bit more damage, less on the supportive abilities, less on the healing and survivability. Making this build fairly useful and versatile mid-match, because you can swap those amulets out if you need to. For our trait choices, 0, 0, 10, 30, 30. 10 points in might, in Earth Magic, giving us Stone Flesh, giving us 1 toughness for each level while attuned to Earth, so it's 80 toughness when we come into Earth. Obviously making a pretty good difference, because we're in Earth Attunement, we're going to be wanting to be fairly tanky anyway, because we're all about CC and stuff in there, and survivability. And then we've got Gain Armour of Earth when your health reaches 50%. This is such a powerful trait to get on the first point in this line. It's so useful. That's going to give us another one of these Armour of Earths. I mean, mean, the cooldown seems harsh, 90 seconds, but when you think of what the cooldown is on it anyway, and how useful that is on 72 seconds, I mean, they're just so good. Do just make sure you get that trait. It's so effective. Also a stun breaker, and we said before, stability and protection uptime really high now, 9 seconds. That's just such a powerful trait to take, especially in the first line. It's a must have for this build. 30 points in the water line, giving us soothing mist, healing ripple, bountiful power, 2% more damage, and a bit of healing there and there. The 2% more damage for each boon on you is very useful this build, because we're going to have some very high boon uptime. It's going to make our damage a little bit more useful. For the major traits, we're going with cantrips grant you regeneration and vigour. So this is a useful one. We've got a lot of cantrips that's worth going for it. Remove a condition from you and your allies when attuned to water, and cantrips recharge 20% faster. Now, as you'll notice, all these trait choices are in the lower end. None of them are actually in the top 2. If you were going to want to change it about a little bit, cleansing water is fairly useful as well, which removes a condition when you gain regeneration, or if your ally gets regeneration from you. So that can be useful. I wouldn't worry too much about it. You can change it up if you feel like it, if you think that's more important. But definitely this is a fairly good way to go with the water line. Then 30 points in the arcane line, giving us arcane fury, lingering elements, and arcane precision. So skills with a chance to apply a condition on critical hits is basically useless for us. We have such a low crit rate. Attunement bonuses linger for 5 seconds. Now that is useful. And grant yourself fury for 2 seconds on attunement, so that's useful as well, giving ourselves 20% crit added to it for a couple of seconds, but often we can get a couple of attacks out in that time. Elemental attunement, so when you attune to an element, you and your nearby allies gain might, regeneration, swiftness, or protection depending on what attunement you're in. These are going to last longer because we've got that high boon uptime. Next up we've got the Vigorous Scepter, so endurance regenerates faster when you're wielding a scepter, meaning we can dodge more. All that's going to be very useful when we get here to the Evasive Arcania. So this is going to create a attunement based spell when you dodge. It's going to be Fire Blast, Cleansing Wave. It's basically fairly useful skills. I mean, these are quite important skills. There's miniature versions of the proper ones, but they are going to be useful, and you're going to be dodging a hell of a lot. Do bear in mind though, there is a 10-second cooldown between those spells. So do keep that in mind when you're playing. We've got a couple clips of gameplay now. We're going to watch that, and I'm going to run you through how the build works in actual combat. So as you would expect, this build makes a fantastic far-point attacker, and that's what we're going to cover in this first clip, as that's what you're really going to be playing this build to do. So we're over on the far point on the Battle of Kylo. We've actually just killed the thief that was defending it. He's gone back to base, and he's just respawning now. We can see him coming towards us. So he's opening up with his short bow, and we're just strafing the shots. You can mitigate damage fairly effectively by doing that with any build. Just strafing left and right can often avoid any ranged attacks. So we laid down a fire field there. It was kind of wasted. We did manage to apply a little bit of fire damage to him, but it's not doing a massive amount. As you can see, he's fairly glass cannon. We're actually doing some pretty good damage to him, considering this build is obviously not very damaging at all, and we're not even on a very high might stack at the moment. Pushing him back, laying down some fields there to try and scare him back a little bit, and we put a Froster as well, so we chilled him. Earth Attunement, Nick getting our knockdown off there, knocking him down, so that was good timing on that. And then we do like we're going to get our full attack there off, so we took the full damage of that, getting 8 stacks of bleeding up on him. Our condition damage isn't really that high, so it isn't going to deal a massive amount of damage, but it does put a bit of pressure on them, it tends to, especially on someone this squishy. Again, we're using a fire achievement here, stacking up some might with those blast finishes. That's giving us 10 stacks of might now. We've also got the vigor uptime, and then we go popping the armour of earth, giving ourselves stability and protection, tanking this last bit of his damage, and he goes down. I'm going to quickly show you now as well a little trick. You can pop mist form while you're defeating someone like that, and it can basically stop anyone from stopping you from finishing them off. A fairly useful attack, really. We obviously didn't actually need to do it there, but I wanted to show you how it works. So what would normally be the second clip is actually going to be included in this one. We can see this Mesmer heading over towards us. I'm just going to show you here a little bit of survivability and kiting, really, and how to sort of avoid any incoming damage from the enemy with a build like this. So this Mesmer is a lot more powerful than the thief we were fighting before, and you can see he's coming in there stripping off boons, which is going to be a problem. Obviously any Mesmers that you do see using swords, and if they've got things like a lot of abilities, the Mesmers do have constrict boons from you. The thieves arrive too, and we're going to get pressured hard now. All our skills are on cooldown, like our utilities and our healing skill, using our knockdown and fleeing the scene. So now I'm just going to show you a little bit of how well this build does survive and how well you can just pull people away from a node. For some reason they decide to chase us rather than trying to capture it, so we're going to make the most out of this and just try to keep surviving. So we pop our misform there on very low HP. That also gives us a chance to channel off our heal to get that out. We use our healing there on our water trident. Again, he's stripping boons from us again. That's a problem. We teleport away using our cantrip. coming up towards the central node. And we've done a pretty good solid job of kiting them so far. You can see they've been distracted by our Earth Elemental that we summoned up before. He's fairly tanky, he's able to handle them fairly effectively, and that's just kept them at bay. We're capping the central node and all that time they've been over there. For some reason they still have not neutralised that far node, and we managed to now double cap them against 2v1. Technically, I mean, we're still fighting 2v1. We managed to take control of 2 nodes in this encounter so far. I mean, we are fleeing. We obviously can't actually stand and just fight for that long. But we just show you how this build is very, very strong at just surviving against people. Even if you have got someone who's running a direct counter, like that sort of Mesmer build, which is a very strong counter against a boon-based build, you can still do okay against them. So this second clip is a 2v2, it's going to start out as a bit of a 2v1 though. So we're coming over towards our near point node. We've actually captured their outer nodes already, their side and the middle node. So we're fighting up against this Guardian first of all. He's coming with a pretty high spam of damage, and this Thief for the other team is coming in as well there, hitting us really, really hard. We had to stop channeling our ability to cast Mist Form, switching into our Earth Attunement to get a knockdown in, summoning up our Earth Elemental, getting the Rock Barrier up, switching into the Fire Attunement quickly into the Water Attunement, giving ourselves some healing as our teammate arrives back on the scene. So our teammate is a Mesmer. This build does work fairly effectively with Mesmers. He can give us some pretty good support. And there we go, he's laying down his elite skill there, giving us 10 seconds of swiftness uptime, quickness uptime, which is hugely powerful, and you can see us dishing out some pretty massive damage now against these enemies. There goes one of them, that was the Guardian, the Thief going down, trying to finish him off. We get pulled back by the other player. So if we had stability up then, or our Mist Form, we could have used that to actually finish him off more securely. Unfortunately we didn't, but we are now easily able to finish off this Guardian. So basically that came down to the fact that we were able to survive at that initial encounter. I mean, it was close, it was very, very close. They could have finished us off, but we managed to just about survive it, and that worked out pretty well. So again, we're going to have the next clip's going to be in the same video. So we've gone over to the other side of the map, and we're going to basically try to defend this node against them when they come in. So here we go, we've got the Thief coming in first. He popped out of stealth on us very quickly, but we're coming in, laying down some CC there, getting our Rock Barrier up, again very important to get that. He comes in with quickness and a couple Heart Seekers there. It did next to nothing to us though, that's our high toughness helping out there. Haven't used our cantrips at the moment though. There we go with Mist Form, trying to tank. The Guardians arrived now as well, so we're 2v1. He's summoned up his Howl, we're going to have to be careful of that. And here comes our teammate Mesmer again, back in again to help support us. So again, we're now in a 2v2 encounter. Getting down, laying down our number 5 skill there on the Earth Attunement. It's a fairly effective ability just to scare players off as well. Often they might focus you, but sometimes it can scare them off, and that can be a fairly useful thing to bear in mind. It looks pretty scary when it's channeling. This Guardian's doing a pretty good job of tanking our damage, but obviously we're not a really high damage build. I mean, we're not designed to spam through a Guardian's armor. I mean, that's a lot of damage, but this Mesmer is doing a good job of dishing out some strong damage against him, and we're just playing distraction. He's going down very slowly. The Thief's gone down in the background, and the Guardian is going to be joining him pretty quickly by the look of it. There we go. So, see, that was a couple little 2v2s there. We obviously can't take the full credit with this build. We wouldn't have been able to do that without the support of that Mesmer helping us out. But this build is so tanky and able to survive in those sort of encounters. It really does help a lot. It's a good addition to almost any team setup. So this next clip's just to quickly show you how we stack up might very quickly and how our boon uptime really works. We're against a little 1v1 here against a Necromancer. Our teammate's nice enough to let us have this quick 1v1 so we can film it. So we're knocking him down. This Necromancer isn't exactly a particularly experienced player. He's laying down some marks here. We managed to avoid damage using Mist Form, avoiding most of it. We got hit by a Fear Bomb, pushed away, but not too much of a threat going on at the moment at all. Right, so we've got up 6 stacks of might. We've got some pretty good boon uptime. You can see a few boons. We've got regeneration up at the moment. Switching through our attunements very quickly, giving ourselves a lot of fury, getting ourselves even more might now, up to 13 stacks of those blast finishers there. And then we went for Fire Grab there as well to try and dish out some damage on him. He's used his heal up now already. Again, going for another Dragon's Tooth. I think we landed a little bit of damage on that. And now going for Churning Earth again, trying to hit his minions. This is a pretty good way to deal some damage against them. Unfortunately, our poison damage, our bleed damage isn't really particularly high, so it's not going to be too much use. He's in his Death Shroud there, mitigating some of our incoming damage, but we're able to heal up during this time. At this point he starts focusing on our teammate, which is unfortunate, so we don't get the proper real fight of the 1v1, but we're just going to chase him down and finish him off. And you can see up to 16 stacks of might now. And our fire skills are coming back off cooldown. We're going to be able to switch to fire attunement in a moment. And there we go, doing a little bit of damage using our lightning spells there to put him into the down state, into our fire attunement. And then if this fight had continued, we could now also get off another Dragon's Tooth and another Phoenix and get ourselves up to around 19 stacks of might. So you can see it does build up very, very quickly. I hope you all enjoyed this episode. Thank you all very much.